All right, we're live.
Sounds good.
Okay, how did we start this before? It was sort of just like, welcome back to another episode of Watch the Clock.
Yep.
I'm your host, John,
And I'm Anand,
also
and
host.
also co-host. We took a little bit of a break, but we're back
Mhm.
now for a new season of track and field.
That's right. When was the last time we did one of these? I was trying to think, was it 2019?
It
It
might
must
have
have
been.
been, right?
I think maybe 2020 also we did a couple episodes, but yeah, I think 2019 was when we were really regular with this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Okay, cool. So we're
Yeah,
back
yeah,
to reporting track results and
yeah.
also top tier commentary on all things track.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll have a lot of stuff to catch up with viewers on.
Yeah. Um, So you attended the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix this past week
Yes, I did yesterday.
in February of 2023 in
Right.
Boston.
Hmm.
So yeah, let's maybe walk through some of those and let's find some performances that stood out, maybe some that were surprises or
Yeah.
just yeah, let's go through that meet.
Sounds great. I mean, yeah, it was super fun. Like that track is like such a nice facility, and I think this is like the first like real world class meet that's happened there because they had a couple of athletes show up when they opened the track last year, but then the indoor the Grand Prix happened in New York last year because the facility wasn't ready. So I think this is the first time they're having it at the new track. So it was pretty sick. Um, yeah, a couple of surprises. There's also like a lot of surprise like entries and people doing like different events that they usually do. Like Sydney McLaughlin ran uh like the flat 60, and like Kenny Harrison ran the like flat 60 instead of the 60
Really?
hurdles. Um Laura Muir was in the 3K instead of the mile. Emma Coburn was running the mile instead of the 3K, and like people were
Interesting.
just having fun with it. So
I mean, it's still early in the season, right? They're probably still trying to, just get a competition in the books, not worry too much about time or anything like that. Just sort of
yeah.
get competition ready.
Hmm.
This is an indoor world championship year.
Correct.
Um,
It's also an outdoor world championships year, right?
oh,
Because we have I think we have that back to back from last year because of the COVID
that's right. That's
mess up.
right.
Yeah.
So we've got indoor in Belgrade this year, and that's going to
Right.
be wait, no, that was 2022. Where's this year?
I don't know. Let's check it out. Nanjing. Oh no, so it was supposed to be in China, I believe, and then now it is going to be. Oh, I think they canceled it,
What?
so it's now postponed to March 2025. Is what I'm reading on the press release.
Wow. Okay, so maybe this isn't a world championships year,
It's an outdoor world championship year, I believe.
right? Which is in Budapest,
Yes,
and
correct.
that's in August.
Right.
Okay, so we're missing indoor worlds.
Yeah,
Um, so maybe, yeah, maybe with that in mind, knowing that people are kind of
that's a
figuring
good
out.
point. I didn't realize that. So yeah, yeah, that makes more sense. That they're kind of just using this as like practice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I mean, clock's ticking for August, but it's
for
not
sure.
not March anymore. It's not as much of a double peak as it might have been.
Agreed. Yeah, and I think this is like I know there have been some like collegiate and other like smaller meets, but this I believe is like the first official like World Indoor Tour meet. I think like one of the big ones. So
Yeah, I'm curious about stops on the indoor world tour. Um,
yeah,
but maybe we can talk about that at the end if you want.
sure, sure. Yeah, like what's next? Yeah, so I mean, we can kind of go through the schedule. The high jump was like the first event I saw. There was only like four people. Javon Harrison was supposed to be in it. I actually saw him like just chilling in the athlete area, but like he didn't do it for some reason. Maybe he was injured or something. Not sure what happened there. But yeah, Tejas
Hard to
from
imagine
England.
anyone's really like injured at this point in the season yet.
Yeah, maybe he just like didn't want to do it. I don't know. He looked fine.
Yeah.
He was just
He's one I'm really curious about though, because I mean, like obviously he had a super long season last year
Mhm.
between NCAA indoor, NCAA outdoor, and
Yeah.
then doubling at world champs. That's like,
which was like a fucking crazy double, like high jump
yeah,
and long jump. Yeah.
yeah. First person to do that, I think, in a long time for the US.
Yes.
Um, and
It's usually, yeah, it's not a common. I mean, even the long and triple is not that common. I think Will Clay did it in Beijing or something, but it's not very common. Yeah.
Will Clay, our boy.
The prodigal son.
God will. Will Clay.
I'm sure we'll have a lot of conversations about him
The
as the
king.
season progresses.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to those outdoor conversations when he jumps something. It's like the first outdoor meet in like, May or something, April or something like that.
Yeah.
He jumps something like really nasty and then he doesn't do it the whole rest of the season.
Typical. Yeah. There were no horizontal jumps at this meet, so that was a little bummer for me. But
Do they have pits?
they do. Yeah, they were covered up, but they have pits.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, high jump.
Yeah, high jump was a little weird because there was like basically there were 4 people, and then one of them no heighted on the first height. So there were like 3 people basically throughout the competition, and then yeah, Tejas Shankar. I think he went to he competed for Kansas in the NCAA. I think he won a couple of times the championship, and now
Yeah.
he's like this is his like first pro meet as a non-collegiate athlete.
Mhm.
So he did really well. He basically had like perfect clearances through to 226, and then 228 was his personal best and like the Indian national record, and he took a couple of attempts at 230. The last one looked like really close, so I hope he gets it at some point. Yeah.
So at that point he had won the competition.
Yes.
Over
He won it with
Donald Thomas
226.
from the Bahamas, who
Correct.
had a clean card up until 226 and then missed all 3 attempts at 226. So Shankar was the last man standing. So do you know if he kind of just like raised the bar to 230 to try and get the national record?
Yeah, I think that was it. I don't know why he didn't
do.
do 229, because I mean that would have been a record too, but maybe just wanted a nice round figure.
Yeah, as a former
Yeah.
as a former jumper in verticals, I don't know if like, I don't know, 1 centimeter makes that much of a difference.
Right.
Like, imagine his bar is at 229 and like you said, he gets a really good third attempt.
Yeah.
Is it going to make a difference? Probably not. I don't
agree.
think so,
Yeah,
but
probably not.
I hear
if
what
you
you're
have
saying.
it, you have it. Yeah.
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 230
No,
is
I
nice
agree with that.
number.
Right. But yeah, it was nice to see. I think he was basically the only Indian athlete at this competition. I don't think a lot of people like. I don't think there's even a lot of international people, honestly, at this meet. So I mean, Sam Cabell was here, and there was a couple of Jamaicans, but it was mostly Americans here.
Yep.
So yeah, that was the first event, and then the next like basically like professional. They had a bunch of like masters and youth meet like events like kind of padding the schedule, but I think the next one was the women's 60, which had like a couple of surprises. Kenny Harrison was there, Sydney McLaughlin, Aaliyah Hobbs, obviously, off of a top 10 60 time, I think, a couple of weeks ago. What was it, 690 something? What did she run a couple of weeks ago?
Hobbs?
Yeah.
I want to say like
698. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she was obviously the favorite. It was nice actually. So the first round I think was Sydney and Aaliyah Hobbs were in the same heat. So it was nice to see like how that panned out. Obviously, Aaliyah Hobbs smoked her, but
how did Sydney's block start look compared to like a true sprinter? Like
it looks so slow. Like I know she's not slow by any mean like any definition of the word, but just like compared to people who do the 60 as their bread and butter, it was slow. Yeah.
Well, especially as like a hurdler, you come out of the blocks differently than like just a true sprinter does.
Sure. Yeah.
You're up faster because like you need to see the hurdles.
Hmm.
Um, Not that
Yeah.
she's like,
I would have thought that she would have done the 60 hurdles.
I
I think
know,
at least.
because
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we were talking last year. She did the 60 hurdles at
Yeah.
this meet,
I think it
and
was
she
at this
looked
meet. Yep.
pretty good last year in that.
Yeah.
So, I was thinking that that could have been something that she might have been wanting to do at this meet, but
Hmm.
I suppose if she's just kind of looking to work block starts at this point in the season, maybe just top end speed or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, I think just kind of show up for the meet and just play around a little bit. Another thing, another athlete that was a little surprising for me was Sharika Jackson. I know she's like a 200 specialist, but
yeah,
I would have thought that she would have been a little bit faster over the 60, as well. And
yeah.
she
So
didn't even
I'm
make the
I'm
finals.
looking at the results now. I see Sharika Jackson at 10th place in 7:34.
Yeah.
Didn't qualify through to the final. So
No.
yeah, I mean, I always like to compare her to like Fred Curley, right? And
Yeah.
I always think that like Sharika Jackson and Fred Curley can do whatever it is that they want to do. So yeah, I would have expected
Yeah.
like a pretty
Exactly.
solid performance, but again, maybe she's just kind of working her way back in still.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't think this is any indication of anything that she's gonna do in the outdoor season. So
Yeah.
uh yeah. So I mean, the 60 heats, and yeah, we kind of covered the final results too. Basically, Aaliyah Hobbs went what was it in the final? I think she went 7:08 in the heats, and then she
Mm-hmm.
went a little bit faster,
7:02, I
7:02.
see.
Yep, in the finals, which was, yeah,
Mhm.
really. I mean, she had a really good race, good start, solid throughout the race, and
And appears to have gapped the field. I mean, second place, Makaya Briscoe at 7:10.
yep,
So
season's best for her. But yeah, she was well ahead.
yeah. And then from there, 7:21, 7:22, a bunch of 7:20s really.
Mhm.
So Aaliyah Hobbs, I think this was probably her race to lose.
For sure. It was funny because when they were like announcing the lineup, Aaliyah Hobbs was like right next to Sydney McLaughlin, and like
Mhm.
they like put all the credentials for Sydney, like world champion, world record holder, Olympic champion. I'm guessing like the whole crowd thought that she was maybe the favorite because they didn't like say what event. And then
Well,
Aaliyah Hobbs was just like relay medalist, and then I felt like it was like a kind of disservice,
that's
like
funny.
on like who the actual favorite was in that race. But yeah,
I mean, I would have said that the crowd there would know that all of those
sure.
accolades are in a different
I think
event.
so too. Yeah, I mean, I think if you trudged out in like fucking Arctic chill weather to see a indoor meet, um,
Yeah,
you probably know what you're shit.
yeah. But I mean, if as a New Balance athlete, Sydney probably gets those she gets that pass for this meet especially.
True, true. Um, yeah, so that was good. I think the 60 hurdles was the next event on the schedule. Grant Holloway was warming up for like 2.5 hours, dude. I got there like as the doors opened at 1:45, and he was out there
Sure.
like warming up. It was crazy. Um, yeah, but he ran really well through the heats and the finals. The heats were like basically Grant Holloway was with Freddie Crittenden in his heats. That was kind of the other big-ish
Mhm.
name. 7:39 in the heats. Freddie Crittenden ran 7:59, and then the second heat had Daniel Roberts and Trey Cunningham. They both qualified with 7:52 and 7:62.
Mhm.
Um, they all looked very solid. And then the final, Grant ran 7:38, I believe.
So
Yeah,
if I remember correctly, his world record is now under 7:30, right? Like he's
I
been
think it's
like
7:29. Yeah,
7:29.
yeah.
So I mean, that's like
I feel
10th
like
or
that's a really solid start to the season. Yeah,
yeah, that's good. I I wasn't sure at first how close that was to his world record, but if that's within a 10th, that's a very solid start, I would say.
yeah. And I remember like when he ran like seven when he was in college and he was running like sub 740s. Like those were like like NCAA records at that time. So
Mhm.
I mean, anything like in the 7:30s range, I know is like very fast
Yeah.
already. Yeah. I was pretty like pleasantly surprised with how Daniel Roberts did. I feel like he, has a tendency to maybe not perform the best in meets. But
Well, he's always
he,
living in the shadow of Grant.
yeah, yeah, and
Uh,
I feel like Trey Cunningham was also like kind of up and coming and like got the silver medal last year, so he's like
mhm.
maybe more of a favorite. Although I don't know how he generally does in the 60. I don't know if you have any insight on that compared to the
Ray
open.
or Daniel?
Trey.
I don't know. I always think that Trey Cunningham looks really good over the 110s because he's got
Mm,
like really, really smooth form. And it's just like a very solid, like technical hurdler.
yeah,
Uh, so actually, I see that he finished in 5th place
right.
behind Robert Dunning, actually, who competed against him in the NCAA
Oh,
for
okay,
Alabama, I believe, who now turned pro as well.
got
But
you.
yeah, so it's interesting to see Robert Dunning come out on top against Trey Cunningham because he's usually
Hmm.
the favorite out of those guys.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I definitely agree that I was thinking I'll see him in the mix with Roberts and Holloway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, again, first race of the season, I don't think it really says anything.
Yeah. I'll expect Trey probably to go faster over the 110s.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think he probably gained a lot of confidence from that World Championships medal last year. So
Yeah. And he turned pro, right?
he did, I
Yeah.
believe. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I wonder when we'll see, or if we'll see Devin Allen. I don't know what his schedule's like with his NFL commitments.
You mean pro footballer Devin Allen?
Yep, that's right. Philadelphia Eagle
Yeah.
Devin Allen.
Yeah. Fly Eagles fly.
I don't know if I don't think he's gonna be playing the Super Bowl next weekend, but
No, I don't think that he actually plays for them.
yeah, I think he's like on the reserve team or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, good for him because like the NC or the NFL, you definitely get paid a whole lot more money
Oh,
for.
for sure. Yeah.
So if you can do that and maybe also try and hold on to your track career,
Yep.
that's a pretty smart move.
Yeah, I mean it's super impressive. I mean being a like dual sport athlete even in college I feel like it's hard enough, but like doing it pro is
That's a good point.
pretty crazy.
Sport pro athlete, and especially for something like so again, like technical, like hurdles,
Right.
to be able to do
Exactly.
that, and then also just like you know be dedicated enough to football to also be good enough at that. Like
Hmm.
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see when maybe I mean I'm sure he has his sights set on like competing in the world championship, so he's probably gonna start doing track at some point this
Yeah,
season.
I suspect I mean, I don't know if I've ever noticed any of his performances in indoor anyway. Like he's usually more
Mm.
of an outdoor guy, right?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you're right. I don't think I've noticed a lot of stuff indoors. Although I think I've seen him compete in the 60 hurdles a couple of times, but I think nothing like groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely an event to keep an eye on though. I mean, Grant could always just, blow it out of the water at any point. So
Sure. Yeah, he's looking really good. I mean, he was super smooth over the
that's
hurdles.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. And the 60, I mean, honestly, the 60 is where he can fly because he's got
Yeah, exactly.
that lightning
Yeah.
start that just blows like he's, a step ahead on
Yeah.
on the first hurdle. And
Yeah,
that's mind blowing.
for sure.
Yeah, okay. So what else was going on?
There was a men's 400 in the middle. There was no heats for that. It was just straight finals. I think there was just 5 guys. Uh, Vernon Norwood was in there. Jareem Richards. I think those are the
Sure.
two big names. Uh, yeah,
If
but
I
it looks
remember
like
correctly, Noah Williams got the lean at the line for that one in
he
45
did.
8.
Yeah, that was a photo finish.
That's pretty exceptional. So
Hmm.
he he ran at LSU, I think, and now he's
Okay,
turned pro as well. Is that true?
it's pro. I don't know actually. I'm admittedly not really knowledgeable about him.
I think Noah Williams was on that stellar LSU team from a couple of years ago.
Okay, that would
Um,
make sense.
so
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
good to see him get out there again.
for sure. Yeah, it was a good race. nothing. I don't think any of these times are like super fast, but yeah.
Nice. All right, cool. Tell me about this 500.
500. All right, yeah. So we had Femke Bol, the favorite, obviously, to win this. I think there were three other people in the race, and she, I think we all know what happened. She broke the world lead. I mean, world best. I think with these non-standard events called a world best, not a world record,
Correct.
but
Yeah.
105.63, which I think was almost a whole second faster than the previous record. Let me look. Yeah, it was the previous record was set in 2006 by this Russian lady, Olesia Forsheva. It was 106.31, and now it's 105.63. And yeah, she looked just super strong throughout that. She didn't even look like she was fading at all.
That's good. That reminds me, just a couple weeks ago or last week, I don't know when exactly it was, but Keely Hodgkinson also set a world best in the 600.
Okay.
At her home meet, actually, in Britain. I watched like a YouTube video about like a behind the scenes from that performance kind of thing. It was previously held, apparently not too many other folks actually like professionally compete in the 600. So it was formerly held by a former a Brit as well, whose name I can't remember right now, but yeah, Keely Hodgkinson also just broke a world best.
Nice. That's she's like primarily 800 meter runner, right?
Correct.
Cool. I think she was did she place in the world championships last year?
She must have, right?
Got you. I'm not sure.
Her 600 time from January 28th was 123.41, which just it's actually at a World Athletics Indoor Tour bronze, which we can talk about what the difference between gold versus silver versus bronze are in a second, but sort of relatively smaller meet in Manchester. And so, apparently her family was there and everything like that, and just barely kind of dipped under it. But 123.41 for a 600 is super impressive, especially this sort of. So I think her plan, from what I understand from now on, is to continue doing 800s, but sort of just wanted to bust out a 6 to see what she could do.
That totally makes sense.
That's what I have to say about that. So
and just looked it up. She was silver medalist both in Tokyo and Eugene last year. So I want to keep an eye on for sure. All right. I mean, men's 60, I think we have to talk about.
Okay.
It was very, very interesting. So Noah Lyles was pretty much by himself in the first heat. There was no one really with him there. Kendall Williams. So he ran 6:56 in the heats, 6:68 for Kendall Williams, and then Miles Lewis from Puerto Rico and Demet Kemp also got the cues there. And then Trayvon Bromell. So the second heat was really spicy. His brother, Josephus Lyles, he false started.
Wow.
So it was like basically just a twitch in the blocks. And it's super unfortunate, but he seemed kind of mad about it. But it would have been interesting to see what he would have run there. But unfortunately, got the red card there.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
But yeah, Trayvon Bromell.
This was kind of setting up like a big matchup between Lyles and Bromell.
For sure,
supposed to be, more. Bromell is supposed to be more of the 60 meter
60 guy. Yeah.
So,
I mean, definitely.
Noah had the faster cue coming out of the first round.
Yes. I mean, Trayvon. Yeah, Noah Lyles, even in the heats, I think didn't get the best start, but like just walked everyone down after the first 30. Trayvon Bromell, as usual, like rocket start, just led from start to finish, 66, 61.
Yeah,
easy cue for him. That he was kind of like slowing down at the end of the line towards the end there because he was leading pretty comfortably. So those were some fun heats to watch. And then the final, they were obviously side by side into like lanes next to each other. But Trayvon Bromell again got like a fucking phenomenal start, and like I really thought he had it to like 40, 50 meters, and then like Noah was just like catching up super quickly. And at the line, it was like I was like kind of sitting behind, so I couldn't tell like who won. I still thought like Trayvon Bromell got it with with the lean, but the photo finish showed that basically they both ran 6:51, but Noah Lyles got the edge got the edge there.
Boy, what a race. So I'm seeing here on the results page that they do have like their times to each 10-meter split,
Right.
which is really interesting. But if you look in the first 10 meters, Trayvon
Mhm.
Bromell 196, Noah Lyles 205.
Yeah.
Like a tenth faster for the
No,
first.
it was
That's
not even close at the like, yeah,
ridiculous.
exactly.
Trayvon Bromell, by the way, was only one of two gentlemen in this entire final who was under 2 seconds for the first 10. So
That's right.
just obviously had the best block start.
Mhm.
And yeah, you know, Noah notoriously not having the best block starts, but also notorious for good final finishing speed.
Exactly.
So clearly that helped him out there.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's pretty big PB for him in the 60, and it's good to see that like this part of his race is getting a lot stronger, which I think says good things about what he can do in the 100 and the 200, especially the 100. I would say, because I think he's usually kept he usually has to catch up a lot within like the last like 20 meters or 30 meters of the 100 meters. So if he's able to kind of tie up at 60, that would be really big for his 100, I think.
Yeah, which is important because there's rumblings that he's going for the double for Outdoor Worlds.
I heard that, yes.
So, you know, if he can really prove that he's serious about the 100, because we know what he did, you know, in the 200 last season, 19.3, which is, you know, by a wide margin the best time that we've seen in this event for a long time since Bolt, really.
Yeah, basically.
Big man.
I mean, there have been a couple of I think Aaron Knighton ran fast a couple of times, but
consistently 9.4s, but no one really even close. So 9.3 kind of somewhat out of nowhere, really. But obviously, you know, Noah's been working really hard at it, but just to really way like that. I'll be curious to see what he can do outdoors.
Me too. Yeah, I mean, he was super pumped. He was kind of running around the stadium after that. I don't know if you saw there was some saltiness going on in Instagram afterwards.
Yeah.
Basically, like he was like, "This is my track" or something. I think that was his caption. And then Trayvon Bromell replied, "Oh, it's his track, bet," or something like that. And so there's some spiciness going on there.
That's good.
But realistically, I think if this is how the 60 looks, I don't know if Trayvon Bromell could beat him in the 100.
Yeah, I like to see that competitive fire. I expect. I mean, it probably IRL. There's a lot of respect between all those guys.
Oh, for sure.
But you know,
you gotta play it out, right?
If you could get, but you know, like if you could say that you're like the fastest person, like I want to say that too. So
I agree. And I think, I mean, I really think that it's nice and it's good. I mean, as long as it's healthy competition, it's good for the sport. Like track doesn't have enough like entertainment value, I think, to a lot of people who are not like fans of the sport. And I think this helps. Like, I think as long as it's respectful and it's just like, you know, just light shit talking, it's great.
Yeah, if you can light that fire, absolutely. I mean, like that's definitely a way to get other people talking.
Yeah, for sure.
You get the talking heads like us to talk about it.
Yeah, correct.
All right, I gotta take my cake out of the oven. But let's cut to quick commercial break. Looks gorgeous.
Great.
Yeah. It was meant to be like a marbled kind of like matcha pound cake sort of thing. I'm not too good at marbling, but certainly it'll taste good.
I'm sure it will.
Okay, what else we got?
So we just did men's 60, then there was men's 800.
Okay.
Do you want to go over the results of this one?
Yeah. Okay, so we've got men's 800. In first place, Mariano Garcia of Spain in 1:45.26. And if I remember correctly, Garcia is a guy who typically shows out in indoor, but is not much to speak of later on in the season. Or
I mean, I definitely haven't. I don't remember his name anywhere in the outdoor 800, like in World Champs or anything like that. So that seems right. I don't know, he might be I saw something on the New Balance page about him being like the defending champion. So I think he actually did win this event last year.
Yeah.
So that
So
would
let's
I
see,
think
just
you're accurate there. Yeah.
quick search for Mariano Garcia. Actually one-time world indoor champion, one-time European champion, European team championship silver medalist, has also been in the top 8 in European indoor championships.
Yeah.
So really performs more in indoor, although I'll note it says here he's only 25, so I mean he's not that old. But yeah, really seems to excel in the indoor 8.
That's surprising. Do you think like it makes a big difference, indoor and outdoor with the 8?
That's a good question, because it's basically a sprint, and especially for a race as tactical as the 800 already. I can only assume that when you've got tight turns and stuff like that, it makes a difference. I'll notice like for Garcia, his outdoor PB is less than a half second difference than his indoor PB.
Okay.
It's his best in the on outdoors is 144.85, and his best indoors 145.12 from last year. So I mean, clearly he's figured out the tactics for indoor.
Yeah. I mean, I think strategy probably comes into play more indoors. I saw that there was a lot more jostling and stuff going on because it's just like a tight space with the banking and everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That always seems to be the thing about these indoor distance races is even for the 400. I mean, you remember when Wayner would tell us about the indoor 400 and how tactical it was.
Yeah, you got to get like,
especially for the 4 and the 8, like you got to get out in front. Otherwise you just like won't be able to come back unless you're someone who really has the legs for it. But
right.
It's a big ask.
Yeah. And especially when you get that merge, at the cones, it's a little strategic on like where you're placed at that point and like kind of fighting for position.
Yeah. So then I see we've got Mariano Garcia in first place, then second Isaiah Jewett in 145.75, who I believe ran in the NCAA at USC, competed at World Champs last year.
Yeah, that was a big moment for him. I remember like qualifying for World Champs. Yep.
Yeah. So still looking good. Another American in fourth place, Bryce Hoppel, 146.58. Sort of probably going to expect him to do more later in the season, I'd reckon. But yeah. And then Mark English in third place from Ireland, 146.57. So good show, I presume, especially it seems like it would be a really exciting race.
Yeah, no, it was very exciting to watch. Like as I said, like with just it being so much more cramped indoors, and I mean, from where I actually haven't ran on a bank track, but it looked like super, like the banking was actually kind of aggressive, and like I think people hesitated to run on the outer lanes more than they do outdoors, because I think it costs you a lot more energy to run on those banked when you compared to like outdoors when you kind of like swing outside and take your space.
I will say though, on a bank track, it's really fun because if you do get that outside pass, you can kind of slingshot because you're literally coming like down off the turn.
Right. That's interesting.
So there's sort of a cost in going up, but then you sort of get to go down.
That's
which
interesting.
Is sort of an interesting piece of bank track, but again, for tight turns, bank track, that makes it that much more tactical. So, for the 800, I'm sure it's always going to be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. It was also interesting. Like speaking of the bank track, it reminded me, they like raised and lowered it a bunch of times. So the 60 is like in the middle, right? And so they can like lower it basically till it's flat, so that the 60 can like run through all the way and like kind of go into the barriers. It was like really fast also, and they did it like a bunch of times throughout the meet, like very seamlessly. So it's cool to see that.
That's high tech, because usually you get that mishap where like someone in the 60s sort of like running up onto the bank after they finish, and then someone trips.
Exactly.
There's that one where the guy sort of like trips and then falls like through the barrier behind, which is like really bogus. But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier when I saw the track because there was not a lot of space for them to slow down before it, you go up. But it's cool that they're able to do that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's high tech.
It is, flagship facility for New Balance.
Yeah. All right, what else we got?
We had women's 3000. So as I said, Laura Muir was in this one, which I know she's like a 1500 specialist. I don't know if she does a lot more of the longer distances,
Yeah.
especially indoors. But it was surprising to see her there.
I would have expected for her to be in the mile.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, walk me through this one. A lot of Brits in this one I see.
A lot of Brits in this one. She did pull out the win with 8:40.34. She was in, so she got first place there, 8:40.34, and then basically 1 through 4 is all Brits. Melissa Courtney Bryant in second with 8:41.09. Katie Snowden with 8:47.41 PB for her, and then Hannah not all 8:47.72 PB for her.
Is that a funny name?
No, it's just yeah. I'm sorry. I couldn't keep a straight face there.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So tell how's Laura Muir's fitness looking now? So early in the season.
Yeah, it's looking solid. I mean, she was pretty dominant throughout the race. I don't really know too much of strategy. I always I'm confused of the strategy on going out in front versus staying behind. I saw a bunch of pack reshuffling happen, but towards the end, the last couple of laps, she was just out ahead, and there was no one really to challenge her.
Gotcha. So it looks like, yeah, there definitely was a whole lot of pack shuffling, just because looking at the kilometer splits, Laura Muir sort of took it out fast, and then hung on and actually had a slower 2:57 for her third K, as opposed to
I see that
2:51 for each of her first and second Ks. Whereas if you look at the third place, Katie Snowden had a 2:47, but a third kilometer, but then a 3-minute 3:02 second kilometer. So really, yeah, it is interesting to kind of see how that kind of plays in. If you can run 2:47 for a third K, then maybe next time she'll be thinking about that when she's building her race plan.
True. Yeah, and I wonder how I'm sure it's also subtly different indoors versus outdoors with the lack of drafting and stuff, with the wind resistance not really that much of a factor.
Yeah, and you literally have to run double the turns, so that for a longer distance, I suppose that makes it that much more challenging.
Cool. What else? So we had
women's mile. Anything there?
Women's mile. Refresh.
I think you mentioned before we started recording, we had Emma Coburn.
Yeah. So that was another surprise. Initially, when I saw her name, I thought she would be the 3K, but she was here in the mile. Heather McLean, another big name in the mile. She ended up winning with 4:23.42 world lead, personal best. So she actually apparently trains in Boston in this facility. So
you don't say. Okay,
home track for her.
Hometown favorite. Let's see. Other big names that I recognize here are Gemma Reekie, although she got 6th place. The Brit. Maybe not quite to form yet. Who knows? So that's interesting. Although I do see Lucia Stafford from Canada. She's a name I recognize. I believe she's typically a 5K specialist. So I believe that she kind of went down in distance for this one. She got 2nd place in a 4:23.52, which is a personal best for her. So it's probably exciting for her. But I see a lot of personal bests just kind of scrolling this list.
Yeah, a lot of personal bests, a lot of national records, 2 national records actually. Nozomi Tanaka in 8th national record for Japan, 4:28.94, and then 3rd place Esther Guerrero, 4:24.92 national record for Spain. So
this
looks
looks
like a lot of solid
it was fast for everyone.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, good race overall. The mile is always it seems like so much more of like a fast-paced race indoors. I think just
Mhm.
because of how compact the track is,
Yeah,
it's almost more
yeah,
exciting indoors than it is outdoors.
yeah. You
Well, I mean, we
really
don't really have the
look
mile
at that
outdoors.
energy
Yeah,
from the crowd in the indoor track.
yeah. It was. Oh, by the way, it was sold out stadium.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah,
Like not a single empty seat. Like literally every single ticket was sold out, and
it's good.
we didn't see any empty seats either. Um, it was fun. Yeah, I mean, and the athletes were like getting into it, like asking the crowd for support, going around. Like Grant Holloway signed a bunch of autographs. Magna, like my girlfriend, got a picture with him also. So that was
Yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah. I saw that on her Instagram. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
All right. What else? We had. Oh yeah, men. Women's. I think. Wait. What do we have left? We have men's mile. I think we didn't go over that one.
Yeah, we've got men's mile, men's
Women's
3K,
800 also. Oh
women's
yeah, we can do
eight.
women's 800 first actually.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me about that.
Yeah, Aji Wilson, obviously big name as this. No surprises. She ended up winning 2 minutes 45. Yeah, she was very dominant there. No
Mm,
one really challenging her. And then Kayla Edwards, 201.09 in second place, personal best for her. Brit Isabel Bothy in third with 201.42. And then yeah, just a couple more Brits and Americans finishing up the rest of the race.
hmm I think to be, so close to two flat this early in the season for the indoor 8 is pretty impressive.
I agree. Yeah.
Aji Wilson, I cannot say enough good stuff about her. I mean, she's just been like such a consistent and dominant force in the women's 800 for so long.
Mm,
Um, yeah, it's just she's had a really impressive career and obviously still impresses. So
yeah.
good for
I mean,
her.
I think
Excited to see what she can do.
yeah, agreed. I think like I think after like Raven Rogers, there's not been a lot of like dominant Americans in this event, right?
Yeah.
So it's good to see that she's consistently performing season after season. All right, men's mile. Once you go over this one.
Okay, hold on. Men's mile.
Uh-huh.
Right. Tommy Leonard Memorial Men's Mile. So we've got, oh boy, a lot of sub 4 performances, which is really exciting to see.
Yep.
7 men under 4 minutes, which is nice. In first place, we've got the Brit Neil Gorley, 3:52.84 world lead, personal best. And then second place, Sam Tanner from New Zealand, the Kiwi, for 3:52.85. So hot on his heels. This looks like it was a good race, couple of personal bests, fast
Yeah.
times. Again, exciting to see hot stuff early in the season. So as exciting. This also looks like it was one of the more multinational races with
Mm,
Brit, New Zealand, Ireland, obviously the US and Belgium, along with a Portugal DNF, unfortunately. But yeah, one of the more multinational races. So you saw this one. Anything stand out to you? And seems like a photo finish was exciting.
yeah. That was actually yeah. Gorley got him at the end, like towards the end. See, he was coming from behind, and
Mhm.
I didn't actually think he got it, but he got it with the lean, and that was an exciting photo finish. I'm surprised with the DNFs because I saw um, a couple of people drop out of the race, but I thought they were like rabbits, and not really like participating. I didn't know.
Yeah, one
I don't know.
DNF that I see is Eric Sawinski, known pacer.
Mm,
It's possible that he was pacing, and then I also see
yeah,
Josh Thompson DNF at
yeah,
the
because he
third
did
lap.
when he stepped off, it did seem like very planned. So I think those DNFs were maybe I think at least one of them was a pace setter.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, it looks like they have up to three rabbits, one for the first 4, one for the first 8, and then
yeah, that's right.
3/4, which is interesting to me. But
They also, in addition to these people, have there's this. It's a really high tech facility. There's this like light bar that goes around the track with them,
cool,
and I think
yeah.
I don't know if that's the meet record or it's like the pace they want to follow, but that's something that I think people also keep their eyes on.
So they've got waveguide too. Yeah, it's interesting to see kind of, as technology progresses. People have been talking about shoe technology being,
Mhm.
sort of an advantage now to what it was, and advances in track and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But even just like for distance racers having that wave guide, it's really interesting to see, how that kind of shapes the field moving forward.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's an interesting use of the technology. I think it's
Even,
as
even
I
for an
don't know.
indoor
Actually, I don't
track.
know how useful it is for the runners. I mean, I guess it's useful, but it's also really nice for spectators to see, like,
Sure.
kind of see like that world record line or whatever go along like
Yeah.
physically with them, because you see it superimposed on the screen, when you're watching the
Mhm.
telecast, but when you're watching live, this is kind of nice.
Yeah. All right. That's
Um,
what else we got? Any field events, or should we?
there was a women's pole vault that was going on in the background. There was actually kind of a couple of big names. Katerina Stefanidi was there. Katie Moon, now she got married, I think, end of last year.
Hey, that's right.
Uh, but
Looks like not Katie's best day though.
Mhm.
Fourth place,
That's right.
445, three missed attempts at 455. Um, obviously she's cleared 5 meters before
Yes.
outdoors. So yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Mhm.
But maybe she's still shaking it out. Probably no big deal at this point in the season. So
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, then Stephanie Day in third, 455. She cleared that with the second attempt, and then 463. She had three misses there.
mhm.
I guess she's getting a little old now, right? She's towards the end of her career, kind of, maybe.
Stephanie, yeah, definitely. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised every season to see her come back, but I
Hmm.
think especially for pole vault, it's one of the ones that you can do for a little bit longer than some of the other
Mm,
ones, just because it's more technical, and if you can get your technique right for a longer period of time, you kind of sustain longer. Um,
mm.
we see the same thing with those uh Polish folks, like, gosh, what's his name? Powell.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's
Yeah,
I think
agreed.
it's one of those ones that you can be in the game for a little bit longer. But with that being said, I see Bridget Williams at 477 in first place, personal best. That's a name I don't recognize personally.
Me too, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, but
But
she
yeah,
was
she had
she
some
was
really
at
solid
least two
clearances.
bars two bars above everyone else, which is kind of
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah, maybe a name to watch out for. Do you know if she's in the NCAA or?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Um,
Yeah,
could look her up. But
yeah, we can.
while I'm doing that, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
curious to see, whether it was there any attention being paid to this event, or sort of just was happening along other things, or
I mean, I definitely heard. So for me, I was sitting on like closer to the home straight, and the polo was towards the back. So I think people on that side of the stadium were definitely like more into it. I was kind of in and out because I was focusing on the other track events, but I did hear like a bunch of cheers when there was like bars cleared and stuff like that. So people were definitely engaging in it, but the
hmm,
commentator and like people on this side of the stadium didn't really focus on that event too much,
I
because
gotcha.
it was basically just going on in parallel with everything else. What's done to happen for some of the field events, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Um, this is really there's really not much history for Bridget Williams on the World Athletics page in terms of
Yeah.
even performances, or they just have like this year's season best, or I don't know whether she competed in the NCAA, but um, this performance looks to be an overall personal best for her, I believe,
Okay.
indoor or outdoor, which is kind of exciting. It looks like previously oh well, that's from 2014, but I was going to say she had competed in long jump and also hurdles before, but that was years ago. So yeah, curious to see what she does moving forward.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure. I think this is her. She looks like she competed at UVA, same years that I competed, actually, 2015, 2019. And then now she's like a assistant coach at Virginia Tech. So
Oh.
looks like she's been in the kind of the background. Maybe she's having a good season now.
Yeah. Well, she's currently second overall in the world so far this year. So we'll see how that progresses.
Mhm. Yeah, so that was interesting. It was a good. It was pretty. Yeah, we went on for a while. With all these bars, especially with Bridget Williams going all the way to 483.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Cool. And then I think the last one was we have men's 3K and women's 300. So
Okay.
yeah, why don't you go over the 3K and then I'll do the 300.
Yeah, okay. So I see my man Woody Kincaid came in first men's 3K at 7:40.71. Personal best for him over Christian Noble in second, also from the US, 7:42.55 with his personal best. Again, this looks to be another race with a lot of personal bests. All of the men in the top 8. This was their PB in 3K. A couple of names I recognize, a couple of names I don't. I remember Morgan Beatlescombe from the NCAA. He competed at Michigan State, I believe. Probably all these guys have been figures in the NCAA for
Sure.
a while, but Woody Kincaid, I believe he's the current, actually just recently broke Grant Fisher's 5K indoor record.
Oh wow.
For the American record, that is.
Yep.
So Woody Kincaid has the belt, although I would expect that Fish will probably come back for that later in the season. So yeah, I mean, good one from Woody. James West, the Brit, in third, 7:42.89. So yeah, it looks like some good times.
Yeah, a lot of fast times, personal best, as you said. This is also, I think, one of the races with, as you said, more people from international people, Britain, Ireland, Germany, Spain.
Cool.
So yeah, solid race. And then women's 300 was that's the final event of the evening. Gabby Thomas, obviously the favorite here. I think, and then Jenna Prandini was also in this one.
Jenna Prandini, that's kind of a surprise to me.
Yeah, agreed. She's more of a 100 person, right?
Well, she's, I think her main event's the 200, but she does the 100-200 double.
Yeah,
whereas
she does the relay.
Thomas is more of a, a 200 sort of specialist. So both of them moving up for this event.
Yeah. Right. And solid race from her, 36:31 for the win. She I think, as she said in a pre-race press conference, that her strategy for this was to just run it like a 200 and then hang on. And I definitely saw that in the race. Like she was getting caught a little bit towards the end, but obviously still pulled the win out and pretty solid time.
Oh, good for her.
And then in second, the pole, Anna Kiel-Basinska, 36:41, personal best for her. Lina Irby in third for the United States, 36:62, and then Jenna Prandini in fourth with 38:16. Probably just getting some speed endurance work in.
Yeah, I see that. She also had Jenna Prandini had a pretty slow third 100, significantly behind everyone else. So it seems like she probably faded a bit there, but
she did, yeah.
Yeah, kind of an exciting sprint race. And that's definitely one of the ones where you take it like a 2 and then try and hang on. So guess it kind of shows where they're at in terms of fitness so far. But yeah, did they stay in lanes the whole way, or no? There's no way they can do that, right?
They did, actually. They did stay in lanes the whole way, as far as I remember.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think, I don't know if there were painted markings for this one, but I remember they stayed in the lanes for this one. But yeah, that was it. And then there was obviously some other masters and youth events, which were, I mean, it's good to see. It's probably like a great exposure for these like youth, especially to compete in this event with all these pro athletes in the same stadium. So I'm sure that would have been cool for a lot of them. But that's about it.
That wraps up our coverage for the New Balance Grand Prix. I think something I wanted to mention super quick from the NCAA is at least one performance that I want to shout out was Julian Alfred from Texas in the women's 660. I'm pretty sure at every single meet she's gone to this year so far, she has broken her own NCAA record. And she
Wow.
did so again this past weekend at the New Mexico Collegiate Classic, which is actually not too far from where I am right now in the Albuquerque Convention Center, which also happens to be the place where NCAAs are this year in March. So I'll be have boots on the ground for that one too.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that was just something that I've noticed. I'm sure that there's also a lot of good stuff going on in the NCAA as well, but that was just one performance I wanted to shout out. And then something I think that we can mention before, wrapping up is talking about what's to come in indoors, including sort of the distinction between the indoor tour gold, silver, and bronze.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think sorry.
Go ahead.
One other quick thing I want to cover. I just actually was looking at this in the World Athletic page. Looked like Mondo has started his season really strong. Cleared 610.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the Mondo Classic, if I remember correctly.
That's right. Is that a meme named after him?
Yeah, he it's his meet. Yeah,
that's so funny. There's also
Mondo's
meet,
putting
right?
on his own meet, and that's right. Okay, that's another thing I want to mention too. Is Carson Varholm opened up his season at his own meet.
There we go.
As well. He ran about 45 seconds or so in the 400 at his own meet.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you mentioned Mondo, so tell me about the Mondo Classic.
Yeah, so just seeing here that he basically ended with 610 and couldn't get 622, which would be a new world record. But yeah, had a couple of failures at 6 meters and then a couple of failures at 610. But yeah, got over it at the end and attempted the world record, but failed 3 times at 622. But yeah, I mean, 610 on the opening meet is honestly, it's so crazy that we're just talking about sixes like casually, in our vocabulary nowadays.
Yeah, sort of the expectation for him at this point is 6 meters.
Yeah.
I'll note I did see a video online for that one. And honestly, the clearance at 610 was not as clean as it has been in the past. So it's not too surprising to me that he didn't put it all together for the 622 yet.
Sure.
I obviously I would expect that he'll be able to put it together, but it didn't look like his cleanest meet. Even in for 610, he sort of slid over, which for anyone again, like 610 is a life-changing bar, but for him, to kind of see that he didn't just go like a foot over 610 was different, I suppose. But nothing, no disrespect for the greatness. Mondo, if you're listening, I was the guy that shouted at you in Eugene before you were going out. Big fan. So yeah. Looking for more.
Seeing him in Eugene was just surreal.
Yeah.
Watching that live. I think you finally are able to understand how high it really is.
God, yeah. I mean, all of them really, it's just literally it's a high bar, but Mondo is just a class of his own. So and I believe that he is the only one over 6 meters so far this year. Is that true?
I think that's right. Yeah. I don't think anyone. Yeah. No one else got 6 meters in that meet, and I don't believe anywhere else either.
Yeah, looking at the world lists, Casey Lightfoot is second in the world right now at 590. Well, there's 2 at 591. If I remember correctly, all 3 of those gentlemen, Mondo, Casey Lightfoot, and Ernest Obiena from the Philippines, were all at the same meet together. So
yes, they were
setting the bar high from the Mondo Classic. Cool.
Okay, yeah, and then let's look at what's next in terms of the calendar.
Yep. So, just kind of looking at the World Athletics calendar for the World Indoor Tour, it looks, kind of crowded, but when you filter by just like, gold or silver or bronze, clears things up quite a bit. So
what is the distinction there?
I'm not quite sure how, how they do it. It's just that sort of, all of these are kind of World Athletics sponsored events. And so
Mhm.
clearly, they'll just sort of automatically count for world marks and things like that.
Yeah,
Uh, Not to say that NCAA meets don't, but since World Athletics is kind of so big on world rankings and points and things like that, as an athlete, I would suspect that you would want to contend at one of the gold or silver over a bronze, because that's
right.
probably fewer points
Weighted
for
higher.
ranking, which I don't totally understand personally, but
Same.
the New Balance meet this past weekend was a gold level meet. The next of which is actually in Poland at the Orlin Copernicus Cup. So
Mm,
that's later this week on the 8th.
okay.
Another one this coming weekend is another big one, the Milrose Games at the Armory in New York.
Oh, that's right.
That always is a good one to watch.
Do you know who any big names going to that one?
Oh boy, no, I don't. I haven't looked at any start
Gotcha,
lists.
gotcha.
That's coming up on the calendar for this next weekend, so that's going to be exciting. And then down the line, we've got World Indoor Tour Madrid, one in France, and then the Birmingham World Indoor Tour Final,
Mm,
which is just later this month. That's in 3 weeks on the 25th of February.
gotcha.
So that's kind of what the gold standard is. Most of it being this month, and then from there, uh, I think what was supposed to be build up to World Championships has now sort of been muddled. So we're, I'm kind of curious to see what will come from there. But
Yeah,
uh,
perhaps the World Indoor Tour final might be the biggest kind of like
yeah,
culmination indoor event that we get this year.
at which
Uh,
point I suppose come March is when really March and April is when folks start to go outdoors. So
correct.
there's that. I think one more thing is maybe the last thing is, if I'm not mistaken, the World Cross Country Championships in Australia are coming up quite soon.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. So that is Saturday, February 18th. And that's going to be in Bathurst yeah. So that's something to look forward to. Always good to see cross country. That's going to be kind of fun.
Yeah, do you
Obviously
know
with it
the
being summer
yep.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that, how people prepare for that, things like that.
That's interesting. I actually haven't like I haven't followed like cross country, in the professional setting. Do you know if it's similar to, college where it's the distance runners that kind of do both? Or is it like a separate sport and there's different people who like focus on the cross country like create like road events
Um, I'll say this, at a professional level, there are certainly athletes that do both.
exclusively? Okay.
There are some that are definitely, obviously if you're, a cross country runner, you probably also want to extend to the track as well. But,
Hmm.
generally, the cross country runners, tend to specialize. And so there's, folks who are relatively better at cross country races, like I don't know if you saw the Spar European Cross Country Championships, but, everyone basically who won the senior races last year also won it
Mm,
again this year,
got it.
including our boy Ingebrigtsen. So
Ah,
defended that title, and he's really
nice.
the biggest person that can do both the track and the cross country. But yeah, so that's kind of another big world event that's coming up,
Hmm.
not too far.
Got it.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that would be interesting
that's
to
in
watch.
just 12 days.
Nice. Yeah, so we got some interesting stuff lined up. I have to take a look at the start list for the Milrose games, see who's gonna be there.
Yeah,
That'll
maybe
be
we
a
can
fun
talk
one.
about that one again next week.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Great. All right, give us a good sign off.
All right. Well, till next time. This has been What's the Clock with your hosts Anant and Dominic.
Yes.
So signing
Good to
off
be
till
good to be back. Good to be talking track. And yeah, we'll be back soon.
all right.
Uh like and subscribe our YouTube channel, right?
Yeah. We're gonna post on YouTube.
Yeah, we're gonna post this on YouTube. So yeah, cool. All right,
Cool.
cool.